On the dance floor, as loud club music pulsed, she smiled playfully. She asked him, "What do you do?" He replied, "I rob banks," and continued dancing. She nodded and kept dancing too.
Breaking news.
A custom bicycle frame is a wondrous blend of form and function. A precise network of triangles, diamonds, and curves, the frame must reconcile and in turn harmonize with the rider's body. To boost a cyclist's comfort and efficiency, a bike builder will spend hours measuring a client's body before carefully mapping out the geometry. Once a blueprint is finalized, the builder embarks on a long, laborious process that begins with a pile of steel. After cutting specific tubes into meticulously measured lengths, the builder conjoins two sections using a TIG welder, which uses a high-frequency electrical current to generate 11,000 degrees Fahrenheit. That intense heat creates a bond that cannot be broken. Only a skilled craftsman can fashion a weld that looks seamless and tidy. The welds on Stillman bicycles were known to be exceptional, and Brent Stillman, the solitary builder at his company in Redwood City, California, was known to be exceptionally selective. He preferred steel manufactured by Dedashiai, an Italian company revered by Tour de France riders. The stiffness of that steel imbues a properly built bike with a rigid yet responsive feel akin to a finely tuned Ferrari. Working out of a cluttered garage in a suburban industrial park, Stillman built only 50 bicycles per year. He charged $2,500 just for the frame. Given the demand, he maintained a growing wait list. If potential customers didn't strike his fancy, Stillman would decline them. This, of course, increased the cash rate of owning a Stillman. As nearby Silicon Valley inflated with disposable income, Stillman bikes reached cult status. In the summer of 2001, Tom joined a club cycling team run by Higher Gear, a bike shop in Wilmette, not far from the LaSalle Bank in Highland Park, one of the 9 suburban Chicago banks he had robbed at this point. Higher Gear's club riders all wore matching red, white, and blue spandex. One day, the bike's shop manager mentioned to Tom that a local rider was selling a used Stillman, a 12-speed road bike built in 1996. Since Tom's bike had been stolen, he was looking for a replacement. The Stillman would be a welcome upgrade. As soon as Tom saw the bike, he was torn. The Stillman was painted day glow orange, but the construction was gorgeous. The bike was a tad larger than Tom normally rode, but he knew that a used Stillman didn't just magically appear every day. So he bought it for $1,200. Tom augmented the Stillman to cater to his own geometry. He swapped the seat post, situated the seat forward, and switched from 165mm to 167.5mm cranks. Despite the adjustments, the bike still seemed a touch big. On group rides with the Higher Gear team, Tom was easy to spot atop his bright orange bicycle. Other riders consistently complimented the Stillman. It was, without a question, the nicest bike Tom had ever owned. And not once did he ever ponder which was more amusing, a bike builder named Stillman or a bank robber named Justice.
Dude, this is a bad idea,
said Spider-Man. It was Halloween 2001, and Tom was working with his friend Chris in Humboldt Park. Everyone on the street noticed the odd couple. Chris was wearing a homemade Spider-Man costume with bright red tights and a mask. On the other hand, Tom was a tuxedoed groom riding piggy bank on a fake bride. As he walked, the dummy groom legs kept bouncing cartoonishly from his waist.
"Man, what the fuck?"
shouted a stocky 30-year-old with a pick in his hair as Chris and Tom approached a street corner that had 6 people hanging around.
"What are you supposed to be?" I'm Spider-Man. Man, I'm Spider-Man,"
Chris replied, sheepishly pulling off his mask. Guffaws rang out as a stout man wearing a Chicago Bulls hat and gold chain stepped forward. Shaking his head incredulously, he grinned. Tom pulled out 3 $20 bills. By this point, he had stopped giving away the cash from his robberies. Tom exchanged the 3 crumpled bills for 3 small white rocks, each the size of half a sugar cube. He and Chris walked away, heading into a dark alleyway where they took swigs of whiskey. Tom pulled out a 4-inch brass tube he'd purchased at Home Depot, stuffed one of the white rocks in it, lit the end, and took a deep drag from the makeshift pipe. The smell was wrenched. Tom exhaled. For half a minute, he couldn't speak. His mind went blank. When he regained faint awareness, he smoked more crack. Tom's descent into drug use had been steep. The previous Halloween, he tried cocaine for the first time. Then at a nightclub a few months later, he took some ecstasy. As he danced to thumping electronica, he felt a fantastic warmth surge over his body, like a down comforter that had been pulled from the dryer. Tom began taking whiskey every weekend. During the week, he was pursuing a master's in education at DePaul University. When Tom shared his grad school plans with his parents, they were optimistic, but they had no idea he was becoming dependent on drugs. On the weekends, Tom would swallow 4 pills of ecstasy, drink Red Bull and vodka for a few hours, and then take another 4 pills. The sensation was magnificent. But as he increased dosages, Tom's post-high depression deepened. The only way he could shake the painful awareness that was disappointing everyone who loved him was with more drugs.
"You look terrible,"
his mom would say at Sunday dinner.
"You need to get some sleep."
Tom had no job, but he had pockets full of cash and cocaine. His friends assumed he was dealing. His sister certainly suspected as much. One afternoon, while Tom and Jennifer were at their parents' house, he asked her to go upstairs with him. There, in her childhood bedroom, Jennifer sat down on the bed and watched Tom shut the door behind him. Slowly, he approached, holding his messenger bag. He turned it upside down, and 3 bundles of cash tumbled onto the floral bedspread. Jennifer asked what the money was about, and Tom replied that he had been robbing banks. He asked her if she wanted to join him into robbing banks. Jennifer declined. Tom explained to her that he was planning to rob another bank tomorrow and he needed her help. Jennifer flat out refused. The next day, Tom pedaled away from the Northview Bank and Trust in Munde Lane with $12,115, bringing his total at this point to $93,903 from 20 banks. Years later, he would admit to feeling ashamed about trying to recruit his sister. But at the time, Tom's addiction was fueling an increasingly destructive cycle of selfishness, entitlement, and loneliness. To convince himself that he didn't have a real drug problem, Tom started attending Narcotics Anonymous meetings, joining a circle of admitted addicts sipping stale coffee on folding chairs in the basement of a hospital. When it was Tom's turn to share, he talked about merely experimenting with drugs. He was in denial. After just 6 weeks, Tom announced to the group that he will no longer be coming for the meetings. He said he was moving back to California. He was planning to apply to grad school there. He wanted to become a teacher. Everyone in the room wished him luck, except one 30-something with a weather-torn face. "Hey man, just remember, wherever you go, there you are," the guy sighed.